In this lesson, I'm reviewing solving linear equations with students, and they've had this previously. It's either refreshing their memory or they never learned it, and trying to review with them so that they can learn how to solve equations before we get into the depth of problem solving in Algebra 1. And so in the first equation that you don't see, when you distribute the 2, it ended up being 2x minus 6 equals 2x minus 6. Always going to be true. Those expressions are equivalent to each other no matter what number you substitute in for x, so the answer is going to be infinite solutions. So I start off with the two special cases, first of all, warming up with them. And so the next one, when you distribute, that's 3x minus 12 equals 3x minus 18. 3x is always going to be equivalent, but negative 12 will never be equivalent to negative 18. So that's also another special case, no solution. Nothing's possible to make that true. When you combine like terms on the left of the number 3, you have negative 9 minus 3 is negative 12x. 1 plus 6 is 7 equals negative 4x plus 5 when we combine like terms on the right. If you combine those and add 12 to both sides, 12x to both sides, you end up with 7 equals 8x plus 5. And go ahead and subtract 5. And so 8x equals 2. Divide by 8. A lot of students want to divide by 2 here just so it won't end up being a fraction. And x equals 1/4. We talk about you need to get that positive 1 in front of x, so you do that by the dividing by the same number, same sign. Negative 1/3. X, we really focus on these last two because there's different methods you can do. If the x is next to the fraction, first of all, one method you could do is you could multiply by the reciprocal, because when you multiply something by the reciprocal, 3 over negative 1, that's negative 3 over negative 3, which creates that 1 in front of the x, and that's what we're looking for to solve for x. And some students want to say that x is equal to 1, and we talk about that's not true. It's the coefficient that's equal to 1 in front of x when you know you've solved for it. So whatever you do to one side, you do to the other to keep it balanced. So x is equal to 12 divided by negative 1, which is negative 12. Another way to think about that problem is you can put the x in the numerator. If it's next to the fraction, that means it is in the numerator. And you can do that as a two-step problem. So you can multiply times 3. And then you would have negative 1x, or negative x equals 12. Divide by negative 1 on both sides. So again, x is equal to negative 12. And one last thing you could do on that is you could take your calculator and divide by negative 1/3 on each side, and that also is okay. Negative 1/3 divided by negative 1/3 would go to 1, and 4 divided by negative 1/3 would also end up being negative 12. On the last problem, we talk about, yes, you could distribute like we did in the upper problems in number 2, where we distributed the 3. But another method, I asked them, is there another way you could solve this one? And usually a student will recognize that you can, in this case, divide by 5 on both sides. And so x minus 2 equals 4. And then you add 2 to both sides. And so x equals 6. So I just want to, in number 3, and number 4, and number 5, present some different methods that they might not have visualized at the beginning.